What if technology doesn't save our world, but merely disguises our emptiness? Ibn Khaldun would say, a people doesn't die merely when it becomes poor, but when it stops asking about meaning. We live in the most technologically advanced era in human history. Never before was information so accessible, communication so fast, and comfort so limitless. And yet, never before were confusion, depression, and existential crises so widespread. Because technology can replace many things, but not the one thing that gives life direction. Ibn Khaldun taught, civilization is more than architecture or science. It is a spiritual condition, an inner structure, a value system. When this core dies, even the most advanced tools are useless. Civilization does not begin with stone or steel, but with meaning, not with technology, but with conviction. A nation does not rise because of its road, but because of its direction, not because of its machines, but because of its morals. The early Islamic civilization was not a miracle of technology, but a miracle of values. It was the result of an intellectual revolution, a new worldview where the human being did not see himself as owner, but as caretaker, not as the center, but as a servant. What united this civilization was not ethnicity, but a spiritual covenant, a shared responsibility toward Allah and toward humanity. Whether in Al-Andalus or Baghdad, Timbuktu or Samarkand, you found the same essence. Education was a duty, justice was the goal. Taqwā was the compass. Technology was appreciated, but it was bound to ethics, because a machine without morality is merely a more elegant form of destruction. It carries no conscience, it amplifies what already exists, and when used without guidance, it magnifies confusion, division, and harm. We live in a world that celebrates the functional while forgetting the fundamental. Everything is optimized, accelerated, automated, yet almost nothing is truly examined. We count our steps, but no longer our intentions. We measure productivity in numbers, but not presence, awareness, or sincerity. We chase efficiency and lose empathy in the process. What Ibn Khaldun once called moral decay now wears a modern suit of glass, code, and algorithms. We call it innovation, but often it is merely a polished shell hiding an increasingly hollow core. We build smart homes, yet many of us engage in empty conversations. We travel through digital worlds, but real human encounters become rare. We gain access to everything and lose the very things that make us human. Our technological progress races forward with breathtaking speed, but our direction, our sense of purpose, is fading, and the price we pay often becomes visible only when it is too late. Families living under the same roof, but separated in spirit. Children who master devices early, but struggle to express compassion. Societies that possess everything, yet feel empty and unanchored. We speak endlessly of the future, but rarely of the hereafter. We discuss development, but without any notion of accountability or meaning. Thus, technology becomes a new form of religion, a faith without revelation, a worship of devices, a blind consumption that makes us forget who we really are. It promises connection, but often breeds isolation. It offers comfort, but numbs our hunger for meaning. It replaces stillness with noise and reflection with reaction. We no longer ask what is true, only what is trending. Because progress, without asking why, is nothing more than a race into the fog, where we lose ourselves a little more each day. Never before was the Ummah so connected and yet so fragmented. One click and you are everywhere, but your heart belongs nowhere. We hear 1,000 voices, but no wisdom. We scroll through endless content, but forget who we are. The digital world gives us access, but steals depth. It gives visibility, but takes away silence. What began as hope has become an illusion, that likes equal love, that virality equals truth, that popularity equals purpose, and thus a superficial Islam emerges, quickly consumed, rarely internalized, beautifully displayed, barely lived. Influences replace scholars, clips replace books, opinions replace knowledge. But an ummah that defines itself through trends will disappear with every trend. True connection is not born through Wi-Fi, but through roots, not through visibility, but through sincerity. And perhaps the time has come to become not louder, but deeper, to speak less, but mean more, to shine less outwardly, but glow more inwardly. Ibn Khaldun recognized something that many ignore today. Civilizations do not collapse when they run out of money, but when they run out of spirit, when people think only in buildings, but no longer in principles, when the outer shines, but the inner is dust. He wrote, "Decay begins when luxury becomes the goal, and not the test." And this is exactly what we see today. We celebrate technology, but no longer fear sin. We applaud innovation, but ignore intention. Mosques with screens, but without tears. Universities with rankings, but without direction. Streets with lights, but without purpose. The brilliance of modernity hides the drought of the soul. For whoever confuses progress with truth will soon have function, but no meaning. But the human being is more than a user. He is entrusted. He is a bearer of a divine responsibility. Technology is allowed. Innovation is welcome, but only when it serves humanity, not when it replaces it. Because Allah will not ask, "How many servers did you run?" but, "What did you do with the gifts Allah entrusted to you?" True progress begins within, with a heart that knows where it belongs. Our task is not to turn time backward, but to fill its rhythm with meaning again. We do not need less technology, but more consciousness, not less progress, but more direction. A phone in your hand is not the problem, but an empty heart is, because technology by itself carries no harm until it begins to replace what gives life its meaning. Without Allah, progress is just acceleration into emptiness, a race toward nowhere, no matter how fast we run. And with Allah, even one step toward the mosque, made with sincerity and longing, becomes the greatest progress of your life.